Hi guys, and welcome back, or welcome to Tower Block Tales. This is my official podcast of Flying High, Living Low, my YouTube channel. So, we've closed we've ended the last series. We finalised where they went to court and everything, and so we need a new one. So I thought I'm going to do about heroin. Now, as some of you may know, I am a Class A drug user, and I've had addiction to heroin since I was 16 and I'm now 43. And although I'm currently still a user, I have had breaks from using street heroin, but I've always been using some type of pharmaceutical opiates, and that was methadone in my case. So I thought I'd put together some episodes about all things sort of drug addiction, signs, advice on heroin. So in this series, I'm going to give you sort of a few facts, information on withdrawal. So let's sort of dive straight into the dark world of drug addiction. So heroin. Heroin is a Class A drug. It's got all sort of different street names. A few, I'm going to tell you a few now. China White, Skag, Bees, Brandy, Dark, Brown, Nasty, Junk, Horse, H, Smack, Golden Brown, Gear. There's quite a lot. Now, so what is heroin? So heroin is a highly addictive and fast-acting opiate. Heroin is produced from morphine, which is the main sort of component of opium, morphine. So it's a naturally occurring substance that is extracted from the seed pod of the opium poppy. And what does it look like? The way it looks sort of varies dramatically. It's generally sold as a powder, and it's sort of light brown in colour. The lighter the powder genuinely indicates the purity. So it would start life as white powder, known as China White. And while the more impurities are sort of added down the ranks, the weaker obviously it gets, and the darker it gets, losing its pure white colour. In some countries, especially in Western United States, most of their heroin available is a solid substance, and that is like a black in colour, and this type of heroin is known as black tar. It may be sticky, light tar, or hard to the touch. So who uses heroin? Well, over 300,000 people in the UK, and 3,600 of those are Sheffield users. So that puts like a cold, shocking chill, I think, on the air, and there isn't a sort of type of person that heroin will claim or specifically will use heroin. It could happen to any one of us. So any one of us can begin, using heroin on a regular basis, and it'll grab you in a very short space of time from regular use. There's sort of no set time on how quick it will get you addicted. It obviously will depend on how often you're using it and at how much. So you sort of find yourself, when you don't have it, withdrawing. So the only way to sort of guarantee that won't happen to you is to not use it, basically. So how is heroin abused? And how is heroin done, basically? Smoked, used, taken. So heroin is injected, snorted, smoked on the foil, or even you can do it in a roll-up. Most people who start using heroin do so by smoking it on the foil. And this is called a few names: chasing the dragon, having a boo, tooting. And the powder is put on a sheet of foil, I'd say about the size of a DVD box. And once you've heated the heroin up from underneath with a lighter, and you sort of like carefully stroke it down, the powder will now have turned into like a liquid, like an oil, and you inhale the smoke that produces. And you smoke this through sort of like a metal, a foil tube, sort of like a straw, basically. What you fold your foil up and roll it round a pen, and it'll form lines and traces, that sort of thing. And how many lines you'll get off it, how much you'll get from a £10 bag of heroin, will really, really, really depend on how good you are at running it. How you're not putting too much sort of heat to it that will make it sort of burn up. It's like almost like an art skill, not one you want to actually learn how to do, really. And and obviously you inhale it, hold it in, and sort of blow it out. Using heroin this way, obviously, the chances of you overdosing are very fucking slim. Although now they are sort of putting fentanyl in it, which is, a very, very, very strong form, of opium, really. So sort of injecting heroin, you need to cook it up and make it into a liquid. And you do this by sort of using a set of, like, tools, instruments, whatever you want to call them. And so you've got to turn it into a liquid to make it injectable. And you also need an agent to dissolve the heroin. Needle exchanges and drug sort of places, they sort of give you like an injection sort of pack, almost, that's what I would call it. And it contains everything you need to use and cook up heroin correctly, keeping you safe from sort of, hepatitis and HIV, that sort of thing, as long as you use a new set of tools sort of, every time, and it's only used by you. It is dramatically, lowering the chances of sort of getting, God, I can't speak, HIV or hepatitis. And that's pack contains like a small metal pan, which is all in a sealed packet for you to open. There's a filter tip in there as well, like what you get when what you put in your cigarettes. You're given a strip of sterile water that you twist at the top and open, and vitamin C and citric acid are given, and they're in like small packets. It's almost like salt and pepper you get in a cafe, basically. You get some swabs as well, and they're just the same as what you use when you're having blood taken, by a doctor. And of course the needles and the barrels and themselves are exactly the same as them ones used in the NHS, basically. And they're all sort of brand new, sealed, safe, as, safe as injecting can be. That's what they offer. You can request sort of what size needles and stuff that you want, and that sort of really depends on sort of how long you've been injecting, really, and where you're going to be injecting into your body. Because obviously, as you keep injecting continuously, you're going to damage your veins, and they sink, and so that's sort of why there's sort of long-ended needles, and that there's a choice, basically. And you put the powder in the pot with the citric acid and the water, and you boil it, basically, and you suck it up into your needle, into your barrel and your needle via the filter tip to sort of, so there's no crap, really, bits of dust or dirt. And make sure there's no sort of air bubbles in it, and, and get your veins, prominent on your body, really. And with the fact that you can't stop and reverse what you've just put straight into your bloodstream, this is the reason why it's so common for users who inject to overdose, really. And number of reasons it may occur, it'll be stronger, might have been cut with something that you're not used to, or you've had a spell where you've been away from it, sort of if you've been in prison or in hospital or on holiday. And the sort of signs of overdosing, it's like difficulty walking, talking, staying awake, blue or grey lips and nails, very small pupils, cold and clammy skin, dizziness and confusion, like choking, gurgling sort of sounds, slow, obviously, breathing. Can't wake them up when you're sort of shaking them or shouting at them. Now, what to do? Obviously, you call 999, and they will give you, they will come and, obviously, they inject something called a I can't pronounce it, naloxone. And it's sort of a adrenaline, I think it is, and it reverses the the overdose, basically. Now, this sort of thing is given. You can have it at home. When you leave prison give you one, and you can get them from the drug places that offer help for addiction. And you can get it in, it's like a needle, or now they have one that you squirt up your nose. If you are sort of somebody who does inject, I think it's definitely worth sort of getting yourself one. And, you know, if let people know who you're using with, where it is, and, you know, try and have a look on the internet to see, you know, how it's administrated, basically. And you can, moving on to the next one, you're smoking it in a roll-up, you sprinkle the powder in a roll-up, as you would, you know, making, you know, a spliff of weed, or even just a roll-up. At the end of the day, it's up to you how people, you know, you use heroin. But it's so dangerous nowadays, you know, there's just so much to consider. I'm making these sort of podcasts to sort of help people not to even do it in the first place. In my next episode, I'm going to sort of cover what prescription drugs are available to detox, and where to sort of find help. I want to sort of tell loved ones what signs to look out for, because I mean that's the only real way that we're going to be able to sort of save our children, really. I mean, when you look at it as you know, as honest and as brutal as I do, our children are the next generation of heroin addicts if we do not do something about it. And it's all right saying, you know, it won't happen to you and your child wouldn't, and it really can happen to absolutely anybody. Anybody. You're not above heroin, you're not below heroin, you're just there for the taking with heroin. And it's so easy to sort of get influenced, maybe, and, you know, certain places, certain times, we can't see into the future. So tune into my next one, and I will sort of tell you how to deal with your loved one, how to approach them, and what are the signs. So, like me, share me if you listen to this on YouTube, subscribe to me, and love you all. See you soon.